All right, so I was spending time trying to figure out how to do a setting to select all controls, which I don't have yet. But I think for now, we'll do something pretty basic. I think let's do something that is what everyone would do, which is just have these basic ones and turn it into a selection. So I'll call it most everything. But you guys actually can't see the Animbot tool. I don't have a license. Please go to Animbot menu licensing for details. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, thank you for saying hi and dropping by. Get some sleep. You were animating all day. All right. Let's see. Where are we starting? Okay, so does this control setting that I made, does this work? Oh, I didn't select it yet. Okay, so we're gonna select all. So there's one control setting that I always need. I don't ever really do pickers or select or like I don't know, box selects, or I should say like if you have fingers and having like a set. But looking here, Animbot seems to be pretty flexible in that case where you can just create your own set. So at the very least, I would like something that's like almost everything. And obviously right now you can't select everything because some things are hidden, but I think this is decent enough. And then you can add stuff to it later. Because one thing for workflow, I think for most animators is you want to make sure that as you're keying stuff and you're moving keys, you have control over where they are on your timeline, right? If you're retiming stuff and you think you selected everything but didn't, then you're gonna take some parts and not others. And that's not efficient because you'll have to fix it later. So if you can come up with a workflow that allows you to at least manage all your keys the way that you work, then that's best. So for me, the way that I work normally is I just select everything and key it, go to the next thing, key it, go to the next thing, key everything. Even if it's not animated, I just key it because it makes sure that whatever was there at the time is permanently and like intentionally there, at least for the or from that point on. So this button seems to work, which is good. It obviously doesn't contain everything, but that's fine. All right. We'll start with 0 frames. We'll suck down to 30. And let's see. How do we want to start this? Personality-wise, I feel like we're going to go with cute. All right, let's first get started on just some basic stuff. We're gonna move the feet. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna choose a side. Let's put her weight on her right, her left. To run Maya, I feel like you don't need very much to run Maya, but you do need a lot more power if you're gonna be doing other stuff in Maya, like simming, or if you're gonna be playing with a rig that's like really heavy. Actually, maybe we could start with an IK. IK? Actually, I want her to... It might be easier not to hold the hat. Oh, good point. I should mention... The rig is called Ystra, and she is available on Christoph's Gumroad page. Lots of cool stuff there. Maybe we can do this with... We would probably need this in IK to put a hand on. All right, this cog, you need to come out because you really aren't selectable for me at all. Thank you. Oh, okay, that's kind of annoying. The hat is way too big right now. Controls on. Let's put her hand on the right one here. That one. Okay, we're gonna squeeze you in a little bit. What is your hand like here? Do you have stretchy? You do have stretchy, but do you have... Alright guys, I am not going to be able to finish anything in 3 hours. Holy crap. We are pivoting and we're just going to try to do a basic idle because I'm a scrub and I did not plan at all on what to do. But we got to make do. Oh, also it's on one axis. But I guess we can... Wow, isn't that nifty? Oh, there's a control here, so pull you down more. Maybe we need to add a little bit of back on her. I like having the bend a little bit, but that doesn't look good from the side. Oh god, is that a cloth thing? Shawl? Oh, it is. Oh, there's no parent space for that. Oh god. Okay. We'll have to... Oh my gosh. Maybe we can't pull her arm that far back. What microphone am I using? I am using an Audio Technica. My computer says it is an A2020. Audio Technica 2020. I wonder, maybe it would look better if it were like her right foot forward instead of her back foot. Okay. I'm gonna do a couple other things, like hand pose, like a small hand pose, and then we're just gonna start from this. It's not perfect. Actually, I needed the hair too. Because we are not going to be doing spline quite yet, and we're just doing blocking, we can just block in poses and always revisit them as we go and further refine that. All right, she's grabbing it a little bit too hard right there. I think I made it a little bit too, it's a little too clamped. But I think for now we'll keep it. For now we'll just leave it. It's like she's gripping it really hard. Doesn't want it to fly off. Okay, last thing would be hair. Then I think everything is like kind of touched except for the skirt, which I think is fine for the bottom part of the coat. Jesus, that is a lot of hair controls. Okay. Okay, from the front view, we really need to get this to be a little bit more visible. So we're just gonna check. Am I getting enough fluff on the end? Need more fluff here, right? Okay, so here's the pose that we're gonna start with. It's okay. I think it's obviously a lot better than a T-posey kind of idol. This is very, very, very similar, inspired by the concept art that they did initially for Ystra. I removed the arms because for me, I want to do an eventual animation later where the arms aren't always out. I feel like for her as a witch, her natural state is more subdued, kind of like this, if she just wanted to be around other people. But obviously she has the ability to sort of call in her extra set of super arms through her hat portal. Right now, we're just gonna stick here on this idle pose, and I'm gonna key it. And she currently has a blank face because I'm gonna focus mainly on body mechanics right now because the face is a completely separate thing. That'll take a while. So we might find a new expression for her later that's a little bit more appealing than just being like super zombie face here like this. We can edit that later and then just leave it on that pose the entire time. What stage are you in? Blocking, breakdown, step, spline, did you use reference? I'm currently not in anything right now. I'm just posing a pose, and then I am now theoretically entering blocking stage, or I would say ideation phase. Let's see, ideation phase, and we're gonna do a little hello. So I kind of want to see, I have to come up with my head. How do I want this to happen? Kind of want to do a wavy thing, but a wavy thing is a little bit generic. We can either do a couple of things. We can do an entry into this pose, so it's like she spawns in and then comes here, or should she looks around and then waves. How many frames? I have no idea. How many frames are we doing? Should I give myself a limit? Let's see. Yeah, let's do 60 or something. How many frames? Can you elaborate on how you exaggerate timing? So timing, actually, in my opinion, can't be exaggerated too much. That's more of like a simplification of how fast something should be doing. So timing and spacing, to my understanding, are very different. Timing is basically how long an action takes, and that you cannot necessarily exaggerate per se. I mean, theoretically you can. If something is like really fast, then you can obviously make it faster, and if something is slow, you can obviously make it slower. But if we're talking about like spacing, it's really just really indexing on your keyframes. So instead of like tweening really slowly between stuff, which is fine for very heavy things that are just moving, exaggerated spacing basically has really harsh ease ins and ease outs. In combination with exaggerated timing, that's how you get stuff that feels a little bit more like punchy and stuff. But oh, okay, wanna do that? Let's do that. All right, so we're gonna do something where here on 60 she ends here, but on frame 0, select everything, and we're gonna go from screen left to screen right. All right, then can we get this hat to be in a different space? Oh, we're fucked. There's no spaces for the hat. I don't want to do constraints. Fuck. Oh, do I have to just fake it? Oh god, I don't want to. Okay, fine. Maybe we'll have to fake it. It's my wondrous hat. Woo! Then we're also gonna have to grab all your stuff. We're gonna do something very basic. Let's see. This is just a block in ideas, right? So we want this hat to eventually go here and then here. Okay. Obviously we don't want her to do that. Hat, 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 hat. And then we can do low here. Up here. Just for the hell of it. So that stuff's there. Potentially we're going to key the same spots. So every 8 frames from now, key on 8. 16. 24. 32. So placement wise, we have, I think spacing wise, like timing wise, it's not that bad. It's okay. So the idea here is the hat will blow in first. I kind of think like from an appeal perspective, we could have the hat come in a lot sooner. And so hat flies in, she comes in, jumps in and grabs it. I think currently like the location of everything is not that great, but I think as we fill in more of the poses and information, it'll become more clear as to what we like and don't like. All right, so what we're trying to do now is basically we blocked in sort of like the staging, right? So the staging is not 100% there, but we have the idea. Hat comes in, she runs in, she's gonna grab the hat as it's like almost like flying away-ish, and then she comes into the idle. 60 frames a perfect specifically may not be enough, but I think for now we are okay with how this is feeling. We will continue to work with this. I will have to 100% figure out a way to do control groups later. You know what? Since I'm here already, I'm gonna make one. What'd you just do? I don't have Animbot. So Animbot has this thing here where if you select controls, you notice here down here it gives you a number. But it says basically in here there are 4 controls selected. You can't see my overlays on here, but it gives you a list of what is being selected, and they're basically their terminology. And then there's this tool here where you can make a selection turn into a button. So it says like, okay, I have all these hair controls selected. You press the plus button and then it'll create a button for you that you can name hair. So now whenever you click the button that says hair, it'll just select the things that you had selected at the time, which is a tool that is actually quite useful. All right, hat, for now you are gone. Gone, I say. There has to be some sort of is there? There must be. Ah, there? Interesting. Yeah, okay. Then we can do that on a different pass. Because now is not a good time to put that stuff in yet. Yes, panic is the key here. If I were on a deadline, this is 100% zero ability to deliver on time. We have an hour and a half left, and I have freaking I have like 2 poses. Alas, I guess that's how life works. More keys, more strokes, faster. All right, so it's interesting because right now what we did here is we basically set up the staging poses instead of like, so basically being like, okay, so this is the order of things will happen. She'll roughly be in this area. Obviously, it's nowhere near accurate, but sort of over like 60 frames, you're like, okay, 60 frames probably can take care of this amount of time. I can probably cover these kinds of actions. But then you'll notice here that I'm doing these poses where it's like, okay, as you put in poses, you'll realize, oh, it's missing information, right? So there's a point here where it's like she has this stretch contact pose and she has another jump pose that I'm going to put in here. But then you're going to be missing the down pose, right? Like the passing down pose that when she pushes off. So we're going to have to author that. Probably I'm going to author around frame 30. But the problem is you notice that the action for this jump into this contact into the next jump, it shouldn't happen over 8 frames, right? Like that's not enough. So once I put in these poses, I'm going to then rearrange them a little bit and then get the timing from those poses. So it's like stage it out, start putting poses in because that gives you information. And then the way I work with it is once I have some poses down, I then rearrange those for the timing that I feel like that works best with that information. Go back into blocking again with some poses, put more detail, put more information, and then you get more sense of like what the final will look like, right? Because the timing of blocking and spline are very different. So the more blocking you can do and reiterate and just do versions over and over, it'll help give you more information and a better idea of what it's going to look like afterwards. I was obviously still very, very, very early, but because we need a pose here, and then I need a pose here. Where are the hips? I wonder, maybe IK would have been easier to work with. Because this hip, interesting. I'm not used to animating an IK spine, but I guess it looks, because that is much more close to what I want versus what I did before. But is that easier to... Yeah, you know what? For now, we'll just... This is going to bite me in the butt later because I didn't plan around it, but we're just going to switch IKFK. Switch IKFK in the middle. Oh shit. Alright guys, I just remembered. I should probably save. Let's save. Jesus. Ystra entrance. Oh, that is so fast. That is so bad. Okay. Oh, there's no sense of spacing. Oh. It is most informative when you talk us through your spacing troubleshooting. Okay, Fair enough. I would say basically what I'm looking at right now is the beginning part. Like, you want to work from big picture to small picture, right? I think though it's interesting because if any of you are familiar with layering, right? Layering is a methodology that is basically, you don't do poses really. You basically just do like, you take like the root of a character. In this situation, it's like the center of gravity, and you like move them around, but only one control. And all you gotta do, for example, is you take the root and the character speaking, like walks over, you do like the bounce, 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 left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, and then you do like, he speaks his lines as like, hi, nice to meet you, how are you? Then you would just basically like, hi, nice to meet you, how are you? That has like a certain texture and a certain rhythm beat to it, right? So then what you would do is then you would then take the root control and you would bounce it up and down, sort of animate that kind of texture. And then what you do from that is you take that blocking and then extrapolate it to everything else in the body, right? And you would go from the root control into the upper chest control, then the legs, into the arms, into the head, etc., etc. For the most conventional thing for most of us is we do blocking like this, which is basically putting in poses. And putting in poses is perfectly illustrative of what you can see, right? Because the pose is what people will see when they're watching the final thing. The only thing that you miss out on in this situation is timing, right? Timing is one of those things where it's like, because you're focusing on the pose, which essentially is like a 2D drawing, you lose the focus on motion over time. So layering method actually focuses on less controls, but more motion, right? Because you don't do any blocking steps, you just go straight into spline, you move the ball in 3D space where you need it to be at the time you need it, and then you get the texture correct. Those are just different ways of approaching how to communicate an idea. And the thing is that most people and most, I would say, creative outlets are much more familiar with the stepped version, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with either version. It's more about just who likes what better and what works for your workflow plus your company. So remember this. In this situation, we are creating poses. When you create poses, you can create them wherever you want on the timeline, right? Yeah, I can do them all next to each other at 0 frames, 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frame, 4 frame. And that has no context of time. But obviously, I'm sort of spacing it out on a 60 frame range. So there is a sense of time over 2 seconds. Now, the thing that we want to be critical about is then, when are you looking at timing and when are you looking at posing? The thing is that I got the timing in the beginning by posing out like basically with the cog, with the center of gravity. It's like, I want the character to be here roughly at this time. And then when I look at it, and I'm like, okay, that roughly is showing what I want from that. She's moving from left to right. The hat comes in first and she grabs it at the end, goes back to idle. I'm like, okay, roughly I know where everything is. So in my head, I have my timeline structured in this sequence. Then because she wasn't posed out at all, right? Then we go into each of those keyframes that we put in and like put in a pose that we think should go there. Once you've put it there, you'll notice that I am now putting in more poses and rearranging them a little bit, because the pose I put here on frame 24 or 28, this pose now with more information is too slow. It needs to come out faster and it needs to be at a different point in time because you're adding more information, right? And so essentially right now I'm doing a hybrid of like, oh, I now see that when she comes in this way, when the hat comes in and she comes in, she's jumping. She's already jumping from that screen up. So I need to start layering or putting in this arc where she's jumping up, coming down, sitting at the bottom and shooting up to grab the hat, right? And so I have a couple of the poses and then she shoots out. The only issue is when you play it, that jump is too even, right? Like the timing and the posing, those are two separate concepts, right? So you can work on those separately. Now, obviously when you're working by yourself, you can flip-flop between this as many times as you want. So in this situation, I'm looking at, is this pose communicating what it needs to? But then how about the timing? Is the timing over this jump, does she need to sit on this a little bit longer before she jumps out? Because I think right now, it's still a little bit too fast. Before, it was actually with this timing. And that's a style. This is a style where if you want it to be super even and super quick and you want the texture to be doom, then it's fine. But in this situation, I want it to be more of like a float magic jump that's really fun, that she comes down and she winds up energy zzz, and then does a like shoot out to grab the hat with one hand. And then you need a little bit extra time on this grab pose right there. before you come back. So you can see right now I'm just looking at timing. I'm moving basically, and remember I said in the beginning, each of these key poses on the timeline right now literally is I select every single controller in the scene, I key it. And then that means if I select this and I can move it around, the whole character, every single control is being moved. So I don't have to worry about things being left behind or etc. It just keeps it a little bit cleaner. But as you can see here, this pose and this pose is the same, and that's the same. So I'm going to have to sort of differentiate this a little bit eventually. And then we're going to raise her up a little bit. Because we want her to float, she then needs to be in her apex a lot sooner. And I feel like all of this can be a lot slower. Right now it's a little bit too fast, so it's a little bit not magical. So we're going to stretch out. Stretch this out. One thing to note though is that the hat is not gonna change its timing right now, mainly just because it's not part of the rig. It's just a block thing that I put in. I feel like this can actually be higher. She can just come up. Okay, and then we're gonna try to get a passing pose here, a mid-air passing pose, which I think would look something maybe like, wonder, do we want to do double feet up again, or do we want to do something where it's like one leg down, one leg straight? Nah. Double feet up is probably more cute for now. We can change it later, I guess, maybe. Cool. So we get a little bit more sense right there. You get a little bit more of the, oh, she's in the air pose into like a getting ready to contact. Contacts goes down and up, right? So right now these are all pretty extreme, but I think we get a slight sense of like the overall energy. So right now I think you can see here that when she hits this, there's too much time between here and here and here. So it seems like she loses energy, the momentum it's being passed through. So we actually want to speed this part up, but then we want to slow down the apex, I think. So we want this part to be fast, but then the high part to be slow. Okay, and this is where you can look right here. Since we're having more keys right now and spacing is pretty important, we can look at Translate X. In the graph editor, we can see that the spacing here is okay, except for this one. We do want her to be going pretty even here for now. How do you know what to do with the hair? Treat it like a tail with overlap. That's a good question. Hair, especially in the beginning, is not something you should really think about unless you're doing tests for it. If your job on a character is just to take care of the hair, then you would just animate the hair all day and you just try to figure that out. But in terms of what I want to do with it right now, I think for now, all I want to think about is just nice poses for it. Like, is it leading or is it following? And most of the time it's following. So for example, right now you can see that like I posed out the hair a little bit, but right now I haven't done anything with it. It's pretty stiff, but it's at least in a pose that follows this motion and action. And then obviously there will be some situations where you'll want to fix it. But right now it's not distracting, right? It's like stiff, but it's not distracting. So for now, we'll just ignore it, I think. Yes, I do use Pure. I actually started using it a little bit more recently now, just because it's just an easy, like normally what I do is I like right click and save them and put them into a folder, but then viewing all of them at once is very difficult. But Pure Ref is just really easy to just copy, and then just view it all in one go. So for now, I think our goal, we have 1 hour left. Our goal is to make this blocking just tell the story, right? So we just need poses. So right now, timing on this middle section, I think it gives it a little bit of like energy and character. Everything else, we're going to have to just ignore if we want to finish this on time. So we're going to finish a set blocking. That would be like, hey guys, does this look good? Does this idea work for you? Can I take this into animation spline? I'm new to animating in Maya. Are these step tangents? Yes, currently these are step tangents. But right now I think the way that we're animating is not thinking about this graph editor. We're actually mainly just looking at this window, just posing it out and then looking at this top right window, because this top right window is going to be our camera at the end. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to want her to grab this and she's going to spin back down, and then we're going to want to replace this with the actual hat later. And then I'm going to have to figure out a way to attach it to a different world thing. Let's see. Okay, so this pose really is pretty shit, but we will do something to camera here. So we'll get these wines out. Get this to feel like this. Hat will go over here. The question is like, what would be the best pose? Maybe this one. Woo! Dude, when we have to spline this, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a horrible, horrible mess. All right, I'm probably gonna need a little bit more time. Okay, I'm adding another 30 frames. Scope creep. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we are going to have her jump across the screen, jump here, grab it here, and she's gonna rubber band over into this top right corner where she smooshes the hat on back onto her head. So she's gonna smush. And then when she does, she's gonna do like a woo and then float back. So we need an extra set of frames, because going from here to here to the middle is not enough time. It's gonna kill us. So we do need more time here. So it goes here. We're gonna take all of this, and we may not need the full 90 seconds. I'm just giving myself another 30 frames just to figure things out. So after this stretch, we're gonna want a compression one, which I'm gonna actually just steal this pose here because it's already compressed, and we'll work from that. So we're just gonna have to grab a couple extra of these controls, and we're just gonna translate it into the spot that we want, like this. Make sense? Cool. So, doink, doink. So it's like stretch and then shrunk. And then actually what we're going to do is we're going to take this energy and we're going to do something cute with it, I think. We're going to do a face the camera backwards a little. Yeah, no, that's the really tricky thing, ironing out what you want. I actually was like stressing for the first 30 minutes of like, what am I gonna do? But then if you really have no ideas, just start trying something. Just do something. Then the ideas will start coming. There is an element of like, we all want to make stuff really good and we all want to plan. And it's good to plan, looking at reference, looking at things that will like inspire you. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes you just got to start. Just start a little bit. It's actually one of those things where ideas, I think, come from experience. The more you do stuff and the more you see stuff, the more you experiment, the more you learn, read, watch movies, expose yourself to certain arts and stuff, you know, those ideas will come. Yoink. Yoink. All right. And then because of the energy, we're going to want her mass to continue a little bit. So it goes yoink. And she goes a little bit into the corner. Probably needs to rotate a little bit too, energy wise. And then we're going to do something here where she needs to have an antic kind of wind up into a right left direction facing thing. So we're going to do like a sort of like running bicycle kind of esque kind of thing that goes screen left after this. Because she has her hat now and she wants to come back and be ready. Okay, that's good enough for now, I think. Yeah, a little bit of S. This stretch pose reads a little bit too long because we want a little bit of more of the relying on the top and the bottom, right? The stretch pose is going to be a juicy part, but we don't want it to last too long, right? So it's like doing. So we want this stretch into down actually be a little bit faster. Hold it down. And then let's do something where it's like I use tween machine. I do something where it save. Holy shit, it almost probably killed me. Okay. So we have something here where it's like she goes up a little bit. Obviously this pose is not good. We'll have to author another a couple extra versions, but I think for tweening this is perfectly fine to communicate slowing out. She goes out, and then we might need an extra like. Actually no. No, what we had before was a little bit better. Ooh, go back. Actually, getting the stretch pose to read is really nice. It's like, so then actually we may not want it to sit on this. Maybe the down pose needs to be shorter now then. So this up pose, we hold. Let's add 2 frames on it. Yeah, okay. All right, so from an energy perspective, that's what we want to do. We want to do the, she holds in this air pose a little bit. Then she goes through this down pose very quickly because her intention is to grab the hat, right? So she doesn't want to, because she's already in the air. So she's like, I'm going to grab the hat. And you want the grab to feel really nice. And then because it's a stretch pose and you hold it longer, you'll get that tension, right? Because it's like in music when you go like a 4-5-1, 4-5, and then 5 into the leading, the penultimate, which is like into the root chord. You hold the 5 into the 1, right? You hold the 5 into the 1. So in this situation, this stretch is like, oh, slightly uncomfortable, but there's a little bit of like this satisfying feel, I think, maybe, where it's like, hut, shunk, and then if you hold a little bit, then you can get the payoff of the cute floating pose. All right, guys, we're gonna have to block in just a really couple extra basic poses on the way down. And then we can play blast and basically just give ourselves a small self-critique. Just sort of see, oh, what did we like, and then what can we do to make it slightly even better, right? On the next time. Hopefully next week is the idea. Oh, I need more frames. Holy crap. 120. Can't we shoot this way? Okay, so right now for these blockings, I'm just going to be looking at the root. Taking the root or the cog and then just rotating her, spinning her around right here. Because right now, most of this is actually not pose-centric. It's very like location energy centric. And then what we'll do is once we get the placement of these right, then we can move on into really detailing out the character. Make sense? Timing is not as appealing as it could be. I think what we want is we want her to sort of struggle a little bit more on the bottom and then go back up, pull you out. And we need her to stay in the air a little bit longer too. We're gonna splay her legs out a little bit to make it feel like she's landed a little bit more. You want the pose on the ground to be more stable. Here we're gonna do contact like this. Bring the feet in. We're gonna stretch her here a little bit. Ooh, hey, you grew a foot. Not a shorty anymore, are you? Guys, we have 20 minutes left. Oh my lord. Okay. This is where stress kicks in. This is the all-nighter. Your test is in like 3 hours and you are still cramming shit in. To freaking, hopefully maybe you'll get a B, maybe you'll get a C, an A, who knows. Take these arms, reset them, reset, and then we just wing them out like this. Woo! Cool. And then just because we're here on the hat, we're gonna grab the hat, and we're gonna do the same thing with the hat just because we are here. We're gonna do a couple overshoots on this bottom part, very minor one, and then we'll do an ease in on this one, and then we'll do a little bit of editing on the front, and then we should be done in 10 with ideation blocking. Do you think virtual reality could be eased in the animation process? Yes and no. So virtual reality is one of those things where it would be really nice in a situation where the software can support it and do what you want it to do. The interfacing with virtual reality is very natural because we understand how our bodies move. Interacting with stuff is very easy. Like, oh, I want to move that arm. The problem, I think, still relies on the fact that rigs have their own functionality, right? Like, if you're doing 2D drawing, 3D drawing in VR, 3D drawing in VR to do like something is very natural. But I think that the process for 3D animation is still currently not quite natural enough. But I think in the future that will be the way to go. Because like, for example, the current version would be we take Maya, but then we have VR, and then we can interact with Maya with VR. The only difference here is like, oh yeah, I can grab the arm, I can place it exactly where I want without the finagly of like, oh, I have to mouse and click it. I could just reach in, grab the thing and move it. The only issue is that rigs behave in FK or IK or whatever, and that logic for a rig is not something that gets solved with VR. VR, I think, is something where the user experience from the person who's like interacting with it, it's much more natural, right? You're not using the interface of a keyboard plus mouse, right? Like if you give my mom VR, she'd be like, oh, I want to move that arm, I can move it. Rather than telling her, oh, in order to move the camera, you need to alt click to rotate in orbit and then click that little line over there and move it, right? The idea for VR would be like, you can tell anyone just like, go over there and touch that. People know how to do that in real life, right? The only problem is, will the rig or will the software let you do what you want it to do, right? It's the same thing for video games. If you have a level design, some people assume that you can walk off the level and do other things. Why not? It looks realistic. There's nothing blocking you from it. But from a video game perspective, it's designed to keep you in a specific location and stuff, right? So, or like a certain storytelling path. So, wow, guys, we're gonna have to do like a whole stream on cleanup because my animation is so disgustingly disorganized and crap. Okay, cleaning up a couple of these poses to wrap up. Okay, and then from this angle, we want to clean it up a little bit to get a nicer silhouette. Just really for now. We're gonna do an even better pass on it some next time, but right now it's we have 2 minutes. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna take a little bit extra time because when I started the stream, I was doing some audio issues. So we'll take a couple extra minutes, but I think we're basically done with the 3-hour mark here. Okay, how does that work? How does that look? Not that horrible. Not horrible. It's okay. Okay. I'm gonna fix a couple things here. Like this thing. This character on the left needs to... So let's take this. We're gonna ease in a little. But we're actually going to do something here where she is down. Shit. I want to do this instead. Go down here to 0. This will be 0 here. And 0x. 0 here. And then we'll do one different pose here, and that should clean out the front. Okay, and we'll need just one more ease out pose, I think, just a tween thing, and then that'll convey a little bit more of the drift on this girl right here. So we keep this, and then we just do this. Okay. Okay, and honestly, you know what? We're gonna just add a little bit of hair poses. We're going a little bit over time, but who cares? Just to get the flow on this, just to make it feel a little bit more natural, and then some of the other ones we can just ignore. And in Jam, so our Discord, which you can look at the link to our Discord if you hit !Discord in the chat. The channel is pretty filled with animators, and so they were just chatting a little bit about how they wanted to sort of like have a day where all of us were animating together, and they wanted to do it all on the same rig and stuff with the same topic. So I just casually asked, I was like, okay, then we can just do something with this rig, and maybe just do something where it's like she, have Ystra, just like pop in and say hi, or just like an emote that's really short and sweet, just like a hello greeting kind of thing. And this, what I'm doing, I'm calling it an Anim Jam. I'm just streaming the part that I'm doing, but it's meant for people who are just interested in having other people to animate with, and then maybe talk about it. And in the Discord, we'll be able to share sort of like what we're working on, give feedback and stuff, and just chit chat, make friends. I'm just cleaning up a couple of the clipping issues we have here. It's frozen. Guys. Oh my god. All right. Everyone can look at this very pretty picture of Genshin Impact while I load this again. Give me a second. Okay, let us open the file and pray that it has our information on it. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to look at it from the stream VOD, and I won't have it, and I'm just gonna give up. Okay, there's a file, and it says 614. Or separate, save myself. At what frame rate do you normally animate for work? I'm doing 30, but I want to know the same as industry standard. Film is 24. Games is 30. 30 or 60. Or any variation multiple of that. Do Riot Animations have champion favorites they like to animate? It depends. I have characters that I like because I play League of Legends, and I like working on them because they are my babies. They are the things that I play all the time, and I love them very much. But certain champions are not fun to work on. Azir, for example, is my most played champion, but he is a bitch to do anything with. So many tassels. You have no automation for that crap. He has a tower. He has soldiers. He has all these different things. His feet and his legs are not normal legs. They are bird feet, or the very weird kind of like not human feet, and so they are different. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it's more work. It's not something you get for free, right? Like if you said, oh, do you prefer animating a ball or a human? Like a ball is way easier, right? But is a human more fun? Sure. But it takes way more time, right? So it would be the same thing. It just really depends on what context. There are a couple champions that I liked animating. I like animating Lux a lot. Mages, female mages for me, I think, are my thing. I just really like doing stuff with them. Animating them. There's Vhagar. Vhagar is really fun. And most of the Yordos are all really fun just because of the squash and stretch you get to do. They're more cartoony. Things that are like anime-esque are fun. That's where you get to push timing and appeal, right? All right, we're gonna do, since we're here, we're gonna do one thing here where I'm gonna just do one more pose for 0 and then 140. There's so much work to be done on this thing, but I think at least for an ideation blocking, I think for 3 hours, not bad. It covers like basically most of the stuff. Like there's a small run cycle, there's a hop jump, there's a lot of stretching contact, and there's a little flying thing. So I think it's pretty cute. It's pretty fun. I think the hair in the back, maybe I can do one thing. One small thing. For some of this overlap. As it comes here, you want it to turn here. Continue this way. Perfect. Okay, so hair comes this way. And the hair will come more. Okay. Review. We're going to do a small review on this thing. So now that we sort of like have a good direction, we then have to sort of plan out the details of how we want to approach it. There's a lot of messy IK/FK swapping, a lot of cleanliness that needs to be sort of focused on. But for now, we'll just look at sort of like what works and what doesn't work. Ta-da! So in the beginning, this hat is going to need shape, right? We're going to need to do some key poses and stuff for how it's traveling. And then I need to sort of figure out, because right now it's still attached to her head. So I want to make sure that they are not parented to each other. So I'm going to have to make a locator and attach it to the locator and animate the locator. But then I want to make sure that I also find a good path for it. So if we want it blowing in the wind, actually the question is whether we want it blowing in the wind or if we want it to be like the hat's running away, because the hat has a mind of its own, right? Technically, I guess the hat has those demon arms that can come out. So maybe it goes jellyfish. Maybe it goes like jellyfish like this into Hidoi 6609. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, and then like right here, it does it's like thing like this, right? It might be more cute. It might be more cute if this is like trying to run away and she's just chasing it instead of it just being blown away. So then yeah, I'll have to plan out like these poses here where it's like it goes like here, here, and tries to go this way or something. But then that's when she does her jump. And so one thing also that I've been looking at for her character right now is we definitely want to be a little bit more focused with the camera angle. A lot of my poses here, I've been working in 3D. They look okay from profile view, but there's a lot of stuff that we can do to like, we don't have to have her face this way 100%. We're gonna definitely have her face a little bit more to like into this space a little bit, into camera space, and rotate her body a little bit more camera facing, just to get a little bit more of that front view from the side. In 3D space, obviously this facing is better. If you're looking from a camera up here down, then it's facing, orientation is very important. But I think here there's a lot of poses that we can get, like this arm can come out, this arm can be visible here, her head doesn't have to be facing 100%. It can be like three-quarter view, right? You know how like you guys, and when you go to musicals and plays, they're always facing the audience, right? We have to imagine it the same way, right? Where we are the audience and we're looking and they are performing for us. So it may not be the most natural when you're looking in 3D for poses, but it's the same thing for fighting games. Fighting games always have the front camera and their poses are presented for you, right? One for clarity and also just for appeal. So I think when we do this, we'll have to do a repass on almost all of these. I did a little bit of it on this one. You can see that she's angled sort of this way as opposed to this way. And that's just for appeal for the camera. And that's because we're not moving the camera and the camera is set. For something for like League, because the camera is facing down like that, you have to do poses that are a little bit more generic in the sense that like they work from all angles because the character can run and move and turn around. So that's something to think about. I think we can also find a couple other breakdown things with these pieces. Maybe get a nicer silhouette with the hair, like a little bit more flow, so you get a little bit more keep alive. Because there's not much you can do with these legs once they go up like this. Maybe the spacing we can fix a little bit. I want her head to face the object first a little bit more here, and then as she comes down, then the face is down, right? You want that connection into the down. This is nice, straight, but then we'll have to figure out how to get a very nice like straight line here, and then get some much more interesting thing. Right now, it's just I didn't pose any of that out, but I think this is the same thing. It's like the hair. We can figure out a nice shape. And then maybe this doesn't have to face so straight on. We can maybe get an angle here or something, right? Cool. I think everything else is like self-explanatory. Obviously, we need to do some finger poses and contacts and stuff, but dude, this character, I have to be perfectly honest, is just way too freaking cute. Okay, I'm gonna open my reference. What I do normally, at least in this situation, is I just compile like the image of the character. And so you can see here, these are all images from the artist, which, let me just double check. So at Alexis Plum, Alexis Plum. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Alexis Plum. You know what? I'm just gonna freaking share the screen here. Ta-da! Go here. See him or her. I don't know. I'm sorry. Rip. This is just revealing how uncultured I am. There's so many cool characters here. And so you'll notice that basically these are the concepts. And then down here are all the other characters that seem to be pretty associated with her. They all have like big hats, and they all have like they're like witch energy, and they all have like familiars that come from the hat in a way, or at least some version of it. So this is just this one version. There are some poses here that sort of like display the personality, and in this context, she seems to be like the most, I guess, just the most cute, right? The most cute and just jovial, and maybe a little bit shy. Though I would say this person probably is a little bit more shy, but then has a much more fearsome, like, where does this come from? Does this come from the hat? It does come from the hat. Much more fearsome pet. And then down here are some cute poses that were from Paul Jarvis. If you guys haven't seen, Paul Jarvis is a coworker of mine. He currently works in R&D at Riot. He did this one a while back with the same, this is the rig also done by Christoph. And then he recently just did this one that you guys have probably already seen. Jarvis, yeah, Paul worked on this like so many weekends in a row and outside of work and stuff. It's pretty amazing to see how it came out, I think. So cute. And then yeah, so I've also been linking Christoph in our stream today, but Christoph here is the one that often just rigs and puts these things together. So and actually Lucas is a member of our Discord who did this challenge or Anim Jam a little bit earlier today. He spent most of the day doing this and it came out great. Lots of fun secondary action on all of this extra stuff here. Also has some pretty nice camera work. Guys, I am missing an appointment with some friends. We are going to hang out and watch some stuff. Oh god, I haven't eaten dinner yet. I completely forgot about. I'm 30 minutes late for this, but that's okay. So yeah, look, check out their stuff. That's okay. This stuff is great, and thanks for dropping by. I guess we finished. I will post this stuff up later. I guess. All right. Hopefully the 3 to 6 time window is pretty good for me every week now. And I should hopefully keep consistent with it. So everyone, thanks for dropping by, and I will see everyone next week.